This is probably the most important chapter because it explains how to get around the two things standing in most people's way of getting what they want out of life. These barriers exist because of the way that our brains work, so nearly everyone encounters them. 3.1. Recognize your two barriers. The two biggest barriers to good decision making are your ego and your blind spots. So, yes, we had some technical difficulties with my Zoom. My partner borrowed the Zoom and changed the name, and I couldn't get it changed back. I did change it, but it wouldn't change back anyway. So on the Zoom, I am Janine for now, but we might get that edited. It'll be fine. I'm really excited. Principles by Ray Dalio. And one of the other reasons I'm really excited is because I had a really great start to my day today. I got up nice and early, went for a run, figured some things out. It's been an amazing start to the day. I hope you also had a really great start to the day. So we're going to get into principles, and I'm looking forward to that. And then I will share all sorts of different things. Go back to the Bigo and say hello to everybody. Young God, nice to see you again. Yuri, good to have you as well. Hello back to you. And thank you for the hearts, Young God. Let's get into it. We are at part 3. Be radically open-minded. Here we go. This is probably the most important chapter because it explains how to get around the two things standing in most people's way of getting what they want out of life. These barriers exist because of the way that our brains work, so nearly everyone encounters them. 3.1. Recognize your two barriers. The two biggest barriers to good decision making are your ego and your blind spots. Together, they make it difficult for you to objectively see what is true about you and your circumstances, and to make the best possible decisions by getting the most out of others. If you can understand how the machine that is the human brain, you can understand why these barriers exist and how to adjust your behavior to make yourself happier, more effective, and better at interacting with others. Part A. Understanding your ego barrier. When I refer to your ego barrier, I'm referring to your subliminal defense mechanisms that make it hard for you to accept your mistakes and weaknesses. Your deepest seated needs and fears, such as the need to be loved and the fear of losing love, and the need to survive and the fear of not surviving, the need to be important and the fear of not mattering. They reside, they reside in primitive parts of your brain, such as the amygdala, which are structures in your temporal lobe that process emotions. Because these areas of your brain are not accessible to your conscious awareness, it is virtually impossible for you to understand what they want and how they control you. This is really interesting. So yes, all of these things still control us. So the need to be loved, the fear of losing love, the need to survive, and the fear of not surviving. This is the reason we do everything that we do. And these are in the ancient part of the brain that we can't access with the conscious mind. And there's a good reason for that, because if you are driving or if you're doing something consciously, and or if you consciously decide you wanted to make your heart stop beating, or you forgot to beat your heart for a couple of minutes, you'd be in a bit of trouble. So it's really important that these things are there. So it's really good to understand what these things are and how they affect us. And then once we understand, there are techniques that we can use to actually counteract them. And good to see so many of you joining on Bigo. Great to have you. We are reading Principles by Ray Dalio. Okay, here we go. They oversimplify things and react instinctively. They crave praise and respond to criticism as an attack, even when the higher level parts of the brain understand that constructive criticism is good for you, but it still hurts. They make you defensive, especially when it comes to the subject of how good you are. Now, if you want to be successful, you want to be able to see if you can let go of some of that. So we automatically feel attacked if anybody says anything that makes us feel bad, if anything is said that attacks our good character or our good nature or creates this issue. We also justify everything. We need to feel as if we are right in everything, because if we don't feel that we are right, then what would be the purpose of our existence? Then we'd be wrong at everything. And if we're wrong at everything, then we can't succeed. So our brain justifies everything. We think that there's a reason why we are doing the right thing at every single minute of every day. Sure, we might criticize ourselves here or there, but technically speaking, we do everything because there is a reason and a justification behind it. I didn't exercise because, oh, I felt my heart beating a little bit faster. I think I might have a heart condition. I shouldn't run. So we do these things to protect ourselves, to justify what we do and don't do. But technically, it's all just there to be able to keep us safe. But if we can let go of some of that, if we can let go of the ego, if we can let go of the questioning, if we can let go of some of these things, then a whole new world opens up to being able to do things in a different way. So I always say at the end of the videos, make sure you make the switch to unlock your rich. If you don't make that switch, if everything stays the same way that it has been, then you're going to get the same results. So you need to do something differently. And even if it feels uncomfortable, or whether it seems like it might be something that's going to kill you, or it's not going to be good, if you don't do something different, you're going to keep getting the same results. So you need to look for something that you can do different that other people are doing, or that have brought results to other people, or that you know that's going to work. And you can test things, and some things will go right, and some things won't go right. That doesn't really matter, but you want to be able to let go of some of those things in order to be able to do things differently. Especially if the subject of how good you are and all of that, that is something that you really need to learn to let go of. Because if you are always harboring this fear that people are negative towards you or criticizing you, or if you're always feeling defensive around it, then it's going to hold you back from being able to really implement, because you are constantly crawling in your shell or fighting, whereas you could be implementing and doing other things. At the same time, higher level consciousness resides in your neocortex, more specifically in the part called the prefrontal cortex. This is the most distinctive human feature of the brain. Relative to the rest of the brain, it's larger in humans than in most other species. This is where you experience the conscious awareness of decision making, the so-called executive function, as well as the application of logic and reasoning. Part B. Your two yous fight to control you. And so many amazing people. Jordan, thank you for the hearts. Baby, thank you for the hearts. Lots of great people joining. It's difficult to say hello to everybody when that is happening. Dan Jarvis, nice to meet you. I'm going to keep reading, but I'll get back to you all a little later. Your two yous fight to control you. It's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Though your higher level you is not aware of your lower level you, this conflict is universal. If you pay close enough attention, you can actually see when the different parts of a person's brain are arguing with one another. For example, when someone gets angry with himself, his prefrontal cortex is sparring with his amygdala or other lower parts of his brain. That's what we were just talking about. The fact that you're going to want to do one thing, but you're going to be fighting it because your ego is challenged by it. So you know that you need to diet, but you don't want to, and so you're fighting internally inside your brain. And it depends on how strong you are and what you're going to believe. That determines which one of the two you're going to end up doing. When somebody asks, why did I let myself eat all that cake? The answer is because the lower level you won out over the thoughtful higher level you. Once you understand how your A, logical conscious you, and B, emotional subconscious you fight with each other, you can imagine what it's like when your two yous deal with other people and their own two thems. It's a mess. Those lower level selves are like attack dogs. They want to fight even when their higher level selves want to figure things out. This is very confusing because you and the people you are dealing with typically don't even know that these lower level beasts exist. Never mind that they are trying to hijack everyone's behavior. So just imagine having a conversation with one other person. It is relatively easy, but when you're having a conversation with four, you have to wait for somebody to stop talking, and then you have to start jumping in, but somebody else might, and who takes the turn, and like four people is a lot more complicated. So every two-person interaction is also actually four people talking. So you've got my two people, and you've got their two people, and looking to see if you can get those two to interact with the other two is really challenging. So if you are aware, it makes it easier for you. So the other person might not be aware that they've got those two going on. But if you are, then you can simplify the process, because now you turn it into a three-way conversation instead of a four-way conversation. And thank you for the smiles, Nirati, and ID 8313270062. Thank you for the hearts as well. Great to have you all here. We'll continue. Let's look at what tends to happen when someone disagrees with you and asks you to explain your thinking. Because you are programmed to view such challenges as attacks, and this is automatic, by the way, you get angry, even though it would be more logical for you to be interested in the other person's perspective, especially if they are intelligent. So there's a lot of things from our past that just make us react in a certain way. But in modern society, it's going to be much better for us if somebody gives us feedback and criticism, to actually take that on board and add it to our arsenal of knowledge, and actually add it into our consideration for what we're going to do. Very often we have our idea and that's it, and that's what I'm going to do. And then somebody tells us that's not what you should do, and then you do it anyway. And maybe it wasn't so great because we didn't really take that many things into consideration. We just thought about what we wanted in that moment. So we really need to be able to shut that off so that we can actually listen to what the other person has to say. Then we can take it on board, and then we can add it to the mix. And we can see whether it's actually better than ours or not. We can see whether ours is better, and it could be the other person's idea is better. But if we reject it immediately, if we feel attacked and we start attacking back, and we don't even listen to what the other person is saying, then we can never take it as a potential for what we want to do. Now, successful people obviously want to be able to get as much information as possible. If you're just reacting and you are angry and you are attacking back, then you're not going to be open to taking that information. So you really want to be able to practice this and make sure that you can shut off the attack mode. It's challenging, I know. And one of the reasons it's challenging is because it's just so automatic. So you really want to maybe keep a diary of every time it happens, and then start looking for it and consciously see if you can catch yourself out. If you can catch yourself out in that moment, you want to do something to break that pattern and make a change and do something slightly different. So a good way of doing this is something that, it was in Seinfeld, it was George. I think George had a day where he did the exact opposite of everything that he usually did. So if he went to work in one way, he'd go a different way. If he said yes to something, he'd say no to it. If he'd say no to it, he'd say yes to it. And you can do something similar. So every time you catch yourself attacking somebody, see if you can make them a compliment or thank them or do something which is different, and spend the day doing everything the opposite that you think you should. Don't say no to things that you should be saying yes to, and vice versa. But you can practice on little things and then spread it out over more things. So obviously don't think I'm not going to crash the car today, and then today I'm going to crash the car. That would be really, really silly. But anything that you think you can do the reverse, do it. And then you can also start working on these kinds of things and catching yourself out on when you are allowing your ego to take control. And very quickly, Dorth, thank you for the hearts. And Mustafa, thank you for the hearts. Rajan, also nice to meet you. And thank you for the hearts as well. So many amazing people. Young God has rejoined, and we will continue. When you try to explain your behavior, your explanations don't make any sense. That's because your lower level you is trying to speak through your upper level you. Your deep-seated hidden motivations are in control. So, excuse me. So it is impossible for you to logically explain what you are doing. Even the most intelligent people generally behave this way, and it's tragic. To be effective, you must not let your need to be right be more important than your need to find out what's true. This, I'm going to repeat that because that's a really, really important sentence. To be effective, you must not let your need to be right be more important than your need to find out what's true. We already spoke earlier, or Ray Dalio spoke earlier, and I speak about it too. But anyhow, the fact that successful people are willing to admit and let people know, and especially to themselves, what their weaknesses are. So if we are happy to share and be vulnerable and share our weaknesses and talk about the things that we do not do right, then it's going to make us much more open to finding the things that are truthful, that are right, that are going to be better than whatever it is that we want to do by ourselves. And that is going to make a huge difference, because if you keep putting in too much into a trade, if you keep buying the wrong property because you don't do any due diligence, then it's time to stop doing that. Make that switch. It will unlock your rich, because now you can start doing due diligence. You can start putting less money into certain trades. You can have a better strategy. You can do the things that you've always known that you needed to do, but you've just allowed your ego and your brain to hold you back from. If you are too proud of what you know or how good you are at something, you will learn less, make inferior decisions, and fall short of your potential. Okay, we went quite deep on that one, but that is okay. That is completely fine. We will leave it at that for today. If you enjoyed that, I would love for you to be able to come and join us on the YouTube channel. So we have all the previous recordings of the rest of the chapters. So if you missed any, you can watch the replays. We've also got Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which I was about to get, but there's actually some papers on top of it now. We read The Art of Thinking Clearly, so you can see all of those on the YouTube channel. And I also 2 weeks ago recorded lots and lots of videos with the answers to your questions. That doesn't mean stop sending your questions. Keep sending your questions, because if anything is wealth related, investment related, financial freedom related, economics related, if you have questions around it, send me your questions. If there's something that you're not sure of, if you are confused about something that we read in Principles, Ray Dalio, there's a word you didn't know or a principle that you didn't know, or if there's something you don't understand, please ask. I am happy to explain. Talking about our egos today, it's really important when you see a word that you don't know, you just look it up. It doesn't matter. I know lots and lots of words, but there are still words that I don't know. I have a really good memory because I studied memory and how that works. And yet there are still things that I'm not going to be able to remember. So we just need to let go of being perfect and how we need to feel that we need to do things. And then we can succeed much more. So send all your questions to my Instagram. You can find me at business_team_6_official. I am really looking forward to hearing from more of you, getting to know more of you. I also have a gift available and an opportunity to help me with a research project. So if you get in touch with me about that, I can send you information about that. Not everybody is going to be qualified for that one. It depends on whether you have been to our cash flow club or not. So cash flow is a game that I play every week or not at the moment, but we're going to be increasing the number very, very soon. So if you'd like to know more about cash flow and being able to practice your investing and all of these different things and your wealth creation in a safe environment where you're not going to be putting any money at stake, but you're still learning about it, then come and join us. Just let me know on Instagram as well, and I'll send you the details. And I can also let you know about this research project. Take about half an hour, and as I said, there's a gift at the end for everybody that participates in that one. What else was I going to say? Yes, send your questions. Let me know if you're interested in cash flow. It is a way to practice real estate, stocks, business, all sorts of different kinds of investing methodologies that you can practice and get better at. Especially if you're new, you're going to be able to learn all the principles. We have beginners and advanced. And if you are already investing and you want to become a better investor, you want to create better strategies, you want to see if there's like-minded people that you can surround yourself with in order to be able to get even better results than you might be getting already, then you can also find those people and you will learn about those strategies, and we'll do more about getting you into real life as well. So lots of really amazing things that you can get from that. So I am really looking forward to getting to know all of you, everybody that sent hearts and everybody that joined and everybody that's watching right now. I would really love to start a conversation with you, get to know you, meet you at some stage for an online cash flow simulator or an offline cash flow simulator, whichever one you prefer. I would love to get to know you though. So I leave you to have an absolutely amazing day. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. And remember to make the switch to unlock your rich, which is exactly what we were talking about in Principles, Ray Dalio today. So make the switch to unlock your rich, because if you keep doing everything the same way, if you don't make any changes, then you're going to keep getting the same results. So make that switch, unlock your rich, not only in wealth, but also in relationships and health and every other area of your life. Have an absolutely amazing day. I'm going to stop the recording and head over to Bigo and say hello to everybody that joined over there. And I'll see you again tomorrow for another reading.